Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the latest episode of the Rich and Turbo Heavy Half Hour. You just get rich today. Find me on X at Fuzz Doom Rip and on all the other socials at Rich.Paiva as a Doom Charts contributor, doing reviews from Usapedia of Metal, and I'm honored to have Jason Doome with me here today. Jason, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Rich.
Excellent. It's great to actually talk to you. We interact a lot on some of the socials.
Yes, sir.
And we're here to talk about this amazing festival that you're putting on in October. Tell the audience what you got going on. And I have lots of questions after you give us just a kind of overview of what it's all about.
Awesome. Yes. The a quick summation of it. A couple of years ago, a good buddy of mine, Shane, and I would hang out in his garage before shows, and he was turning 50, and he wanted to. He was kind of going through it, turning 50. I did not so much. I mean, I blew my hands out, got my neck tattooed, but um, I dealt with it that way, I guess. And he wanted to do some things, and kind of try to leave a mark, And so one of those was putting on a heavy music fest or a doom fest. And I said, well, why the fuck not, man? Let's try to do it. Let's go for it. And so we went to the club, and fast forward, we put on our first Doom Fest last year at the Pyramid Scheme in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We had 7 bands the first time, and this year we're going for round number 2. And the venue cut us down to 5 bands this year, which is fine. Seven was pushing it for one night. I would have liked 6, but five will do. A lot of our crowd is a little bit of an older crowd sometimes, so
Yeah.
that works out. But we got cut down to 5, and what's nice about that though is the bands will get a nice paycheck. I
Awesome.
don't this year. Last year didn't take a cut. I'm not going to take a cut this year. All that's going to go to the bands, and they get to keep all their merch. But the whole concept was, we don't in Michigan. We don't. There's a Michigan Metal Fest. There's a couple other little metal fests, but nobody specifically in the doom stoner rock genre, desert rock. There is no fest, and there's not a lot of those types of shows. Period in Michigan.
Yeah.
We get some really good ones in Grand Rapids, because we're kind of an in between point between Detroit and Chicago. But we got a pretty good local scene with some doom bands. But I wanted to showcase the up and comers, and really bring to light some of these outstanding bands that are bubbling below the surface in the underground. And there is a lot. I don't want to hear anybody talk shit saying, "Oh, there ain't no good new music." Yeah, there is, man. There's a lot of new good music. You gotta, it's just like it's no different. There's a lot more because we have a lot more access now, but it's no different than when we were younger, and we would read the liner notes to see who the bands thanked and to see who played on the record, and get those bands and go check those bands out.
Yeah.
So it's the same premise, because there's a lot of phenomenal music coming out. I mean, it's hard for me to keep up. So, um, but this year we expanded. We had all the bands we had last year, starting with the co-headliners, Bonehawk and Chokesetter. They really kind of put it on the map for us. Bonehawk is a national touring act, and I was blown away that I was able to get them to do it. They're great fucking guys, man. They wanted to be a part of it and help me out, and that was awesome.
Love it.
But they really brought some of the recognition, that's helped move this fest along in a pretty explosive way. And then we had Busby Death Chair, a band from Detroit, Bog Wizard from up north here in Michigan, Warhand, Clean, and Stranglehold. And so most of those were just local bands, except for Chokesetter. Bonehawk was from Kalamazoo. But this year I wanted to expand it a little bit, and so this year we went completely national, really. And we'll get into the bands later, but that's kind of the overview, man. I wanted to, I like, I love my scene here in Grand Rapids. I think it's great. We have great venues, and the Pyramid Scheme is my favorite venue, because it's quaint. You know, the whole place. It's a bar in the front with pinball machines, and in the back is the actual club. The whole club only holds 420 people. So you figure maybe 120 in the front, that's 300 in the back. So you get a really intimate show there, and the bands are accessible, and it makes for a really good event. So
Awesome.
that's what I'm trying to do.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and as a guy who just went to, I haven't been to a lot of shows lately. Mostly, a lot of it's because of where I live, and we don't get a ton here. I'm in Central Florida. We'll get some bands that go through Orlando.
Yep.
Um, I was just at the Truck Fighter show,
Oh,
and it was a great show. Couple
yes.
local bands, Liquid Pennies and Florist, who I love, also Restless Spirit. But my point is, like, as a person of a certain age, four bands is a lot.
Yes.
so so five is, I feel like five is a sweet spot there.
It is.
So yeah, I think that's really good. And to your point about new music, like as a Doom Charts contributor, I have trouble narrowing my list from 25 every month.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is definitely a lot of great music. So I'm a little bit jealous that that you can have access to these such things. We'll talk about what maybe we can figure out something for Florida where I live at some point. But
Amen.
let's talk about the bands that you have coming up in October, because there are
Yes.
some killer ones that I'm looking at a lot of them who I have in my discography of my collection. So tell us what you got going on.
All right, man. We'll start with the openers, and I say this in every interview. I find it to be one of the more important spots of the evening because the opener is setting the tone for the rest of the evening, and really kind of dictating, crowd wise, what it's going to be like. Are they going to get them into it, and get them psyched for the rest of the bands? And so for that, and this was pretty immediate. As soon as I heard them, I knew that they were going to be my door kicker openers. Um, uh, Three guys, awesome dudes from Kansas City, Missouri, a band called Buzzard Fight, and they are considered. They call themselves psychedelic country sludge, and I know people think to themselves, "How the fuck is that even possible?" It's possible, man, and they pulled it off, and it's really cool. And they got, it's there's no such thing as a riff, and these guys have crazy riffs because there's some country twang to them,
Love it.
and there's some sludge to them, and it's just incredible. And I think they're going to be excellent to start things off.
Very cool. Do they do
Yeah.
they have do they have an album out that people can go check out on
They
Bandcamp or?
do. I can't tell you for sure. It should be on Bandcamp. Um, they set one aside for me. They did a small run. So I don't know how many they have left, but they've also got coffee if you want some Buzzard Fight coffee.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, they got some cool stuff, man. Just great guys. Their background is punk, country, and metal. So,
Uh,
you got three dudes
Love
from
it.
Kansas City, Missouri, and they really put it out. So I'm really stoked to have those guys. They're traveling a long way, and I think it's pretty fucking incredible. So
Yeah. And just for those of you who are interested, the record is on Bandcamp. There is some purple vinyl, which might be coming to Central Florida sometime soon. Now that I'm looking at it,
hell yeah,
so that's very cool. It's so funny when you say, like, country sludge. Yeah, you listen to and they're a huge band, and luckily enough, I'm gonna have them on the show on Friday. But a band like Basque, who is like this like sludgy stoner doom Americana band with some
yes,
banjo. It's like you hear these things and you're like, I can't work, and then you listen to it and you're like, holy shit, they made it
yeah,
work.
you're blown away,
Yeah.
and it's cool to start hearing different elements introduced into doom and stoner and sludge and all that because um, it just like any music. I mean, sludge has a sound, and it's cool when people switch shit up and throw a banjo in. One of
Yeah.
my favorite all-time Doom albums is by a band called Graves at Sea, and the album's called The Curse That Is, and they have a lot of strings on that album, and that was one of the first Doom albums I had ever heard that had strings, and it really added a lot to it, and it's a phenomenal album. Like I said, they put out one full length album, and they had some not even EPs, some splits. Phenomenal band. But anyway, I appreciate people that push the boundaries and start tapping into different stuff.
Yeah, like Earth and Grave, I think didn't they have a cello player in it? I think too, and that was like a just a different sound that you don't expect. And you know, you give me riffs all day long, but you throw some stuff in there like that, I'm a happy guy. So
Absolutely.
excellent. What else we got going on?
All right, coming up next is amazing band coming from Chicago, and that's Shadow of Jupiter. They in both those three of these bands, I was somebody, my buddy Sean Patrick Brooks from the Heavy Underground.
Sean.
He, yeah, he recommended Buzzard Fight, Cobranoid, and Shadow of Jupiter, and I checked them all out and was like, wow, man, these bands are really good. And Shadow of Jupiter was one of those bands, and I heard them and saw that they had kicked off Ripple Fest. And, you know, so the combination of them kicking off Ripple Fest, I loved their album, I loved their music. Um, and I was like, wow, man, I was like, I wonder if I have a shot at getting somebody that kicked off Ripple Fest. You know, get my foot in the door, bring a band that, you know, has, you know, some festival cred behind them, and like I said, but most importantly, their music just rocks, man.
Yeah.
I consider it kind of like stoner groove, and you know, you can bob your head to it, you know, and just jam out. And the singer, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. I know Colin the guitarist, but the singer's voice, man, he's got an amazing voice. It's almost soulful, man. So it's almost like stoner with soul, you know.
Love it.
And Colin writes some just really great riffs, man. And the rest of the band is like a metronome and keep it in the pocket. So I'm stoked. I'm honored to have all these bands, really, you know. Because they're all so talented. They all bring something a little different to the plate. And Shadow of Jupiter is a big score for me. So
Yeah, that's
really
awesome.
stoked.
And just a shout out to Shadow of Jupiter that somebody in the band is listening to the show because they always make cool comments about the interviews that we do. I've been bugging them to come on the show too, so hopefully
Right
we'll get
on.
them on the show soon as well. Really dig that. And another band that you can go buy some merch from right now, make the trip over a little bit easier for them. One less record that they have to carry with them in their box. So go look at. They have Orange, which is right in my wheelhouse. Orange Splatter for their most recent record. So very cool.
Right on.
That's a really great get. Cool. Who else we
All
gonna
right. Then
experience there?
coming up in the third spot is a local, not local, but a Michigan band, and they are called Pillar of Light. And a lot of hype around these guys because they're really fucking intense, and they are Doom. They're comparable. They have the beauty of Paul Bear and their soundscapes mixed with the the hurt and pain of Neurosis.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh,
yeah, they're really intense, man. They're outstanding. And a lot of people, like I myself, man, I've never experienced a band as intense as Pillar of Light in person before. So I'm really stoked to see that because you know, music makes you feel, and sometimes it makes you uncomfortable, you know, and there's beauty in that, and so we're really stoked to have Pillar of Light. They were the first band. I had a buddy, Sean Strong, recommend them to me, and I didn't immediately, you know, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, and then I heard it, and I was like, wow, these guys will fit perfectly. So
that's
really,
awesome.
really stoked to have them. Yeah.
Very cool. And I just go back to that Truck Fighter show where a band like Restless Spirit, who's a little more doomy, you might not
Yes,
think that they're like a perfect fit, but I personally want that. Like, I want all different elements and different sounds and different stuff going
for
on.
sure.
Otherwise, it's like, you're standing there, hanging out, loving the bands, but like, I'd love different directions. So that's
Yup.
very
And
cool.
and let's be real with each other, man. I personally, I it would be really hard to get through 5 hours plus of really hard hitting, drony, emotional doom.
Yeah.
You've gotta switch things up. You've got to have a little variety. And people aren't there to hear all the same thing.
Yeah.
They want to. People that nowadays that take the time out to go to shows physically, we're in the minority, man. Like, I don't understand, like, people where music isn't more of a factor in their life. I'm 53 years old, man, and I hurt when I go to shows. My party drugs are 3 Tylenol before I go. I mean, so um, I pay a little bit for it. I got to work the next day. Most shows, I got to be up at 4:50 in the morning. But fuck, man, I'm gonna go to shows, man,
Yeah.
and support bands and find new bands and that's what it's about. So
Absolutely. Yeah. 3 days later, my feet still hurt, but still, absolutely 100% worth it.
right,
Um, and I think, I don't know, I'd have to look at numbers, but I think there are people of a certain age who, after the pandemic, just stopped going back.
yeah,
And it took me a little while, I'm not going to lie. It took me a little while to get back into the swing, but also it took me a little while because I have so few that come through. It's easier for me to be like, I just don't have any good shows. And then when that Truck Fighter show came through, or a couple of the other, like Clutch came through, I'm definitely much more in I'm just not going to sit home and not go to these shows. I mean, I support bands with the physical merch and doing the show and everything, but like,
right.
just missing out on that experience for
Yeah,
sure.
man. Yeah, it's funny because with the Rona, when that hit, I saw how easily our music and our live music could be taken away.
Yeah.
And it personally kind of scared the shit out of me. I was like, what the fuck does this mean for live music? We didn't know at the time how long this was going to last, and or how long the social distancing was going to be. And so I made a promise to myself when that happened. I said, no more am I going to say next time.
Yeah.
No more am I going to say I'll catch them on the swing around. I'm going to go to every show I can possibly go to, even if it mildly interests me. And I've held pretty true to that. I go to as many shows, I mean, one thing I can't do, I can't force myself. It's probably one reason I don't have a girlfriend, because I'm not willing to go and suffer through, whoever the latest pop icon is for an hour and a half, because music is deeply personal to me, and to sit there through something that I find shallow or whatever, I just can't do it. You're more than welcome to come to mine. I understand if you don't want to, but I just want you to know I'm not going to reciprocate. But so I had made that promise to myself, man, and I've held pretty true to it, man. And the couple weekends ago, I had Conan on Saturday night, and then the next night I had the Truck Fighter show with Restless Spirit. And they were fucking outstanding, man. It was fantastic. I'm glad I went. I was a little tired the next morning, but dude, we'll get plenty of rest when we're dead.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
This is coming from a dude. Listen, I had a massive heart attack at 44. It killed me. I was gone for 5 minutes. Had another heart attack 2 years later. Suffered through, really bad depression, and I'm gonna live life, man, and I'm gonna see as much live music as possible, man. And I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna put Doomfest on as long as I have a spot to do it. I don't care if I'm 65 and I might look a little corny in my battle vest at 65. I don't give a fuck, man. We aren't our parents' generation,
That's
dude.
right. It's very, very true. And Sean actually said that in a message that he sent about that. because I do a show with Sean Patrick Brooks and Scott from Clean and Sober Stoner. We do
Yep.
like a monthly kind of show there, and it's just fun. And we're not. This is I can't picture my mom and dad going to do anything at my age right now.
No.
Like none of that. My mother and I went to see the Stones and like on the Steel Wheels tour, and it just blew me away that she would even out of the house, let alone
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
go into
Yeah.
a show on a Tuesday night at a small club with 100 people in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a different world, in my opinion. For people of our age, a better world because we're not sitting at home doing nothing. I mean, this is shit that matters and it's important, and we're helping to grow the
Absolutely,
scene.
man.
And yeah, we're on the same wavelength there. I've interrupted you now with my chatter. We still have two other bands that we
Yes,
have to
we
talk
do.
about. What else we got?
Okay. And this was the first co-headliner. And super humbled and really fucking stoked to see these guys. I got Cobranoid coming from Colorado. And Cobranoid, they're, Colorado Speed Doom. They're sludgy. They're fast. They're, if I was to assimilate them with somebody to give you an idea, that would be High on Fire.
Hmm.
They match that energy and that just galloping coming at you. Three-piece band, and they rip, man. They rip. They're gonna seriously melt some West Michigan faces when they get here.
I love that. And another band that I think you mentioned that Sean mentioned to you, and I think he just got finished. They played it at something a show that he sponsored and that he just saw. And he's been
The
just
Pillar of Light.
no Cobra.
Oh, Cobranoid. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
he's been screaming about Cobranoid. So that's very very cool. I was looking for. I did a review of their last record, and I was looking for the band that I compared them to, and I'll have to go find it.
Yeah.
But
Please do.
I loved that last record. It had elements of just about everything, but to me, it was more like 80s thrash than anything else, and it was
Yes.
wonderful. That makes me very very happy.
Yes,
So
absolutely. I would totally agree. I would totally agree. They're fantastic, man. They've got something going on. I'm anxiously awaiting. They're slowly but surely. They're humans. They have regular jobs too. But they're working on material. I'm patiently awaiting a full album from those guys because they're fucking great.
yeah,
Their EP kicks ass though, man. Holy shit.
that's going to be an awesome show for just seeing Cobranoid, and then we haven't even talked about the headliner yet.
Yes. Now,
The second
um,
headliner.
yep, Michigan band, also from Detroit, along with Pillar of Light. I've got Temple of the Fuzz Witch coming in.
It's awesome. Very very cool.
Man, it's funny because, I had a bunch of bands that had sent me their info, and I just didn't feel that I had the 1-2 punch yet for the headliners. I'm sitting around smoking, jamming my vinyl, and on a Saturday, come here, cat.
Oh, I love it. The more cats that show up on the show, the better. So you just
Oh,
let her go.
awesome. And I was just sitting around on a Saturday night, man, and for whatever reasons, Cobranoid and Temple popped into my head, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking reach out to those guys, and I'm going to see if they'd be down to play Doomfest. I've got nothing to lose.
Yep.
And so I gave the spiel, my story about how Doomfest came about, the first one. My buddy and I sitting in the garage, the whole spiel. And I was able to give them, I can't give a guarantee, just like I couldn't give a guarantee this year. But what I could do was say, hey, man, last year I had 7 bands. We charged $18, and all the bands walked out with $400. Plus, they sold a shit ton of merch. Bog Wizard sold like almost $1,000, if not
Wow.
over a little bit. Yeah, they're their merch game's on a different level though. But all the other bands still sold $300 to $400 worth of merch, so that was a good night for those bands. And like I said, and I didn't take a cut. And then so I was able to say, but this year, we've got 5 bands, 2 less, charging $2 more. You do the math,
Yeah.
And we're gonna have more people. We're gonna have a much bigger crowd this year. We had a good crowd last year, but we're gonna have a good sized crowd this year. So I reached out, gave them the spiel, both the same spiel, and it wasn't an immediate yes. Cobranoid, that's Colorado. Man, that's a long fucking way,
It's a trip.
dude.
Yeah, that's a
Trip,
journey.
dude. To play some dude's Doomfest that's only in the second year, only the second show. And so there's a little back and forth, and then so I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to send them so they can get to know me a little bit. And I sent them one of the interviews that I did with Sean Patrick from the Heavy Underground. And I woke up the next morning with 2 yeses.
It's awesome.
And was like, whoa, holy shit, man. No way. I about peed myself, man. That's pretty cool.
Very, very cool. And
Yeah.
Pitbull Fuzz, which is such a great band. Love to be able to see them live. That's an amazing lineup for year 2. And so my understanding also is you have like a pre-party planned as well. So instead of having all those bands on one night, now you have a pre-party going on as well, right?
Yep. And I want to bring up my lighting guy. It was crazy. He reached out to me for the first one. His name's Matthew Stafford. He goes by Super Nuclear on his business for his lighting and on Instagram. But the date was wrong because he had something he had to do. And so as soon as I found out I was doing Doomfest 2, I literally hit him up that day and I was like, yo, dude, you still down to do this? Because I got to go ahead to do Doomfest 2. And he's like, yeah, when's the date? And he checked. And he is a mad fucking scientist, dude. And this is going to be a very immersive experience.
Awesome.
He does this lighting. It's the old school, like late 60s, early 70s bubble oil lighting on a projector. But he adds clips, like not movie clips, but he adds, images to it. So you got the bubbling going on, and then you got flashing lights, and it's just intense, and it's amazing. And it is going to, it's going to leave people's minds and eyes melted. It's going to be amazing. So he's doing the full set. And one cool thing about him real quick is he listens to each band individually. And then he creates what he's going to do around how it makes him feel and the music and the tone of it. So each band will have a different lighting show.
That's very cool. He's like your own little version of the Las Vegas Sphere.
Yes.
Because I'm not a big Dead fan, but I was at a work event and my buddy is. He's like, let's go. You want to go? And I went to go see the Dead and Company, and it's amazing what they do, and it's very specific to the band and all that. So the fact that he takes the time to listen and like curate for what they're doing and what their sound is, that's amazing. That's very cool.
Amazing. It's I'm super stoked. I'm honored to have him. I'm already hoping I can have him next year because to be honest, it'd be a step back if I didn't, so, so the pre-party, which is pretty much by demand because, everybody was like, dude, you need to do 2 days. And I'm like, everybody forgets I've done one.
Yeah.
I've done one of these, and I didn't want to overshoot everything, and plus, because my buddy, who I started this with, he had to move on, and so it's just me doing it. And so my buddy Harlan Linky, the drummer from Bog Wizard, hit me up, And I was at my buddy's record store, and he's like, "Dude, we should really do something. We should really do something like a second night, man. Do you think the pyramid scheme would let you do a first night, a first second night?" And I'm like, I don't know, man. And I was like, it's like, honestly, dude, I was like, I got so much going on with Doomfest, just trying to even remember people's names and keep those straight. I was like, I just can't imagine going, trying to hunt down another venue and get the bands. And I said, it's just me right now. I said, but I'll tell you what, dude. I said, I'll put it in your hands, man, and take charge and get the shit set up. Just keep me informed so, I can make any suggestions or yeses or nos that I feel might, be necessary. And I think within a day, he had all the bands lined up, he had the venue lined up, and Matthew Stafford, Super Nuclear, our lighting guy, he's going to be doing a scaled down version at this show. And this is at a different venue. It's called Mulligan's Pub. It's in East Town, Grand Rapids, like 15 minutes away. And it's a free show. And the bands are Ghost Pipe, great band. I've seen these guys 2 or 3 times now. And as soon as I had another band on the bill, we had to pull them. And the first band that came to mind was Ghost Pipe. They're great, good guys too. And I figured, they deserve to be heard, as much as possible. So we brought them on, and then we've got Solar Monolith, drum and bass duo. And I'm super stoked to have those guys. I can't wait to see them live. I've seen clips, and they look like they rock the fuck out. So they're going to be awesome. And then Bog Wizard's going to be headlining. So
Very cool.
yeah, man. And so, it's crazy that we've, in one year, we've gone from basically, you know, 1 day to 2 days, and that there's demand for it, man. It humbles the fuck out of me. It's like, wow, I can't believe this. I mean, I'm 53, and to be honest, man, I've never felt so alive, man.
It's awesome.
I get to, put on a really cool musical festival, or a micro, as Sean puts it, a micro fest, which I think he's on to something with that. Um, and I get to hang out with all my really good friends. I get to watch my favorite fucking bands live. I get to hang out with them and watch them do their thing. That's my payoff, man.
No,
I mean,
that's
holy
amazing.
shit.
It's amazing. And I think we have another show here that we could do because I know that Sean is putting together his fest.
Yes.
I'm talking to a bunch of the people from Black Doomba who are doing the Tampa Doom and Gloom Fest, which
Yeah.
we're gonna have now that is not a scale back thing. There are it goes from like 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday, Saturday and Sunday. It's like a gigantic, huge thing.
Oh wow.
Um, but and I'm gonna try to get there for at least Sunday because Basque and Electric Mud and some other bands that I really love are
Oh, right
playing on
on.
Sunday. But I'd love to have you guys back on, just like maybe Sean is someone who's doing it now and first time, and you who's doing it
Yeah.
for a second time, and those guys who are doing it for more than a second time, and just kind of talk to you about the experience because I'm fascinated by it. Like as a little kid growing up, the thing I wanted to do as a little kid was start a record label, and this was when record labels mattered. Like
Right.
the
Yeah.
majors,
Yeah.
and I didn't know any better from an indie label to any of those things. I just said, I love music. I want to put out music. This was me at
Yep.
like 10 years old. And you know, never did I think I would be talking to bands or doing any of these things, but like some of these things are like in reach now. And I want to talk to all you people who are doing these things.
Yep.
It's fascinating to me. So I think that's another show. I would love to have you guys come back and just talk about the experience of putting it together, the highs and the lows, the challenges you face when there's drama with bands.
Yeah.
Because I think you had some of that.
Yes.
So like, not obviously not mentioning names, but just how
Right.
you deal with those things. I think that would be a fascinating show that people would love to hear.
I would agree, man. I think that would be a good time, man, because it's for me, I won't get deep into it. it just all happened so organically, man. Like it really did. Like everything literally just fell into place. And, from the venue to the lineup of the bands, to everything, and we didn't even have a microphone squeal at the first one. I mean, it
And
went so incredibly smooth.
and again, that's so fascinating because you talk to like Sean, who's putting his together, and he had such great luck putting the bands together. Not a lot of no's, if any no's.
Yep.
And but you also hear about people who do these things, and it's just an utter and complete failure. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'd love to have the show where people are having like positive experiences. You not that you guys are experts and know what you're doing, but I think to me the common thread here is the love of the scene and doing it for not the money, but everything else that goes along with it. I think that's the
100%.
common theme here. But as I start to talk to you guys and the Black Doomba folks and Sean about his fest and a couple of other groups, I just would love to like just do a roundtable about this and the
That would be
do's
a
and
blast,
don'ts.
man. Yeah, that would be a really good time, man, because I'd love to hear other people's perspectives and what they've gone through and some of the do's and don'ts because again, this is only I haven't even put on my second one.
Yeah,
And you know, for having no exchange, this has all just been done with heart and passion.
yeah,
Because just like you, man, I always wanted to be in a famous rock band. I wanted to be involved in music somehow. And here I am at 53, living my dream, fully being able to get involved in the music scene
yeah. It's
and
awesome.
being able to do it. It's incredible. So, and I think there's a lot of room, bringing up Sean again with the whole micro fest,
Yeah,
with the death of some of the larger festivals here in the States. It's not like over the pond where there's trains and you can hop to
yeah,
another location in 1 hour and be at a festival.
yeah.
We're much larger and we don't have the infrastructure train setups that they do over there where we can get to place quickly. So these smaller fests like the Doomfest, you know, it's not a 4 day banger, but you're going to guarantee that the lineup is going to be stellar. The production's going to be there, and I'm laser focused on the entertainment that I have for that basically one evening,
And
and it's got
yeah,
to be fucking stellar if you want to do another one.
yeah, and hanging out with like-minded individuals.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
and that's why again I'm stuck on this, but like I do go. I've been to it the last 2 years, and my buddies and I are making it a thing. But we go to Welcome to Rockville in Daytona, one of those huge festivals.
Yep, yep.
And I thought, given some of the bands that were there, I'm just very not interested. Even the fans of the people, but I was like waiting to see Mr. Bungle hanging out with juggalos. And just people just were there because they wanted to have a good time. I want nothing to do with Insane Clown Posse, but like, and I thought I was going to have problems with these guys. And they're just like
Yeah.
chilling. We're watching Mr. Bungle play. We're dancing. It was just a wonderful experience. So when it's done right, whether it's big or one of these small ones, and you have the right mindset and you're doing it for the right reasons,
Yep.
it can be a fun experience. But again, you hear like all these crazy things like the Fire Fest and all that shit and that went down, and
Oh yeah.
there are obviously pitfalls. So yeah, I love it. Jason, I've kept you longer than I promised, but I want to just say that Grand Rapids Doomfest 2 is October 11th at the Pyramid Scheme, Pillar of Light, Temple of the Fuzz Witch, Buzzard Fight, Shadow of Jupiter, and Cobranoid. Friggin' awesome.
Hell yeah, buddy.
And I want to say a pre-congratulations because obviously we want to congratulate you after everything happens. But with the way you're doing it, the bands you have coming, I can see nothing but success for it. So please come back. Let's talk afterwards. Let's do that show about the fests. And
Absolutely.
I also need to have you on to talk about just the music that you love, because now that I'm following you on the Facebook, I think we have a very similar affliction for the vinyl.
Oh yes.
And that is also something that I think you and I can spend hours on. So just
For
Jason,
sure. Yeah,
thank you so much. This has been
Thank
awesome.
you, man. I really appreciate it. I had a great time, man.
And so what happened with Sean is I was on a show with him, and then we wound up doing a monthly show. So, oh, the poster! I meant to ask you who did the art for these bad boys because they're awesome.
Oh my god! Same guy that I used for the first one. His name is Steven Yoyada. He's on Instagram. He does a lot in the stoner rock scene, of course. And he's just amazing, man. He takes, like, I told him, I mean, all I told him for this was I wanted a Black Phillips goat head and I wanted weed mushrooms.
Mission
And
accomplished.
which he fucking nailed, bro. He nailed. And, so he takes my little tiny kernel and blows it into something up that's just fucking awesome. And that artwork, that's been hugely beneficial. And that was one thing I told Sean. I was like, don't, whatever you do for this fest, don't skimp on the artwork.
Yeah, no,
because it's like an album cover.
Yeah. It'll be what you remember. It'll be like, you'll hang that poster on the wall. You have those memories from that. And it's cool when you have like multiple fests and you know the specific kind of theme to it for that particular one. So, that's I have so much more to talk to you about when we talk about the festival stuff. But for now, thank you, Jason. This has been awesome. Anyone who's in the neighborhood of Grand Rapids or anyone who wants to travel to see an amazing fest and amazing bands, go do it. It costs $20, so your gas is not, yeah. I mean, come on, people. It's ridiculous.
You're not gonna find a bigger bang for your buck that night anywhere.
Nope, absolutely not. And so thank you. Enjoy. We'll talk. I will talk to you and see you on the socials. And Jason Doome, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.